Many people believe that humans have always existed on planet Earth. However, scientists disagree with this theory. According to their research, people didn't always live on our planet, but there was another civilization that existed before us. But what's amazing is that this ancient civilization lived millions of years before humans appeared on the planet. So who were these mysterious people? And most importantly, how did they manage to survive for so long? Welcome to my channel. And today let's find out the name of the civilization that lived on Earth before humans. The Siliarians are an alleged ancient civilization that supposedly preceded all other civilizations on Earth. This civilization was allegedly born 70 million years ago, but nobody knows why it suddenly vanished. There are many mysteries surrounding this civilization, but in this video, we'll try to answer the most important questions. Who were the Siliarians? Why did they disappear from the face of the Earth? And most importantly, do we have any evidence that this civilization actually existed? So watch this video to the end to find out. Who are the Siliarians? According to some reports, the Siliarians were a race of highly intelligent beings that evolved in the depths of the ocean. As soon as they mastered nuclear energy, they became the most powerful civilization on the planet. They lived at a time when the planet had not yet recovered from the effects of a meteorite impact. Moreover, this event almost completely destroyed life on the planet. But the Siliarians managed to survive. As soon as they learned to use nuclear energy, they began to develop rapidly, eventually becoming the dominant species on the planet. Scientists suggest that the Siliarians could be the missing link between modern humans and primitive aquatic creatures. According to one version, they were the ones who taught the first primitive people to use fire, to hunt, and to engage in agriculture. Most likely, the Siliarians knew how to grow plants even 60 million years before the advent of the first people. It was they who brought the first changes to the planet's climate, which subsequently led to the Ice Age. It was also the Siliarians who probably created the pyramids, since only they had the technology that would allow them to carry out such construction work. At the same time, they actively extracted minerals from the bowels of the Earth, as evidenced by numerous mines that can still be found in various parts of the world. Many scientists tend to think that the Siliarians left our planet after they learned to fly. Perhaps they used anti-gravity devices for this purpose. But even despite the fact that the Siliarians were such a powerful and advanced civilization, they still had enemies. The first aliens arrived on Earth about 12,000 years ago. These extraterrestrial guests practically wiped out the Siliarian civilization from the face of the Earth. Only a few managed to escape the genocide and hide from prying eyes. Some of them allegedly fled to Antarctica, or to the hollow core of the Earth. In addition, it was the Siliarians who allegedly made first contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, and even entire galaxies wanted to visit our planet. Unfortunately, due to the aggression of the aliens, this was no longer possible. Siliria's advanced technology. The Siliarians' technological progress was much more advanced than that of even modern humans. Thus, to obtain energy, they used not only nuclear fusion, but also crystals that could accumulate solar energy. The Siliarians probably used this energy to power their cities, which were located both on land and underwater. These cities amazed the inhabitants of other planets because they were so beautiful that they were considered the crown jewel of the galaxy. Although the Siliarians didn't leave any written evidence of their existence, archaeologists still managed to find a lot of interesting things. Thus, they found silicon wafers that could be used as computer chips. In addition, the Siliarians used nanobots that were thousands of times smaller than a human hair. In addition, they developed an incredibly powerful weapon capable of destroying entire cities. It was this weapon that caused the greatest damage to the planet's climate, as well as the extinction of many animal species. Silurian civilization decline. As already mentioned, the Siliarians were almost completely destroyed by aggressive aliens. In addition, the Siliarians themselves were partly to blame for their decline. The thing is that these beings constantly went to war with each other, fighting for land, resources, and energy. Eventually, the wars reached such proportions that the Siliarians forgot about their main goal, which was to make the planet habitable again. It's worth noting that they almost succeeded in this. Scientists have calculated that if the Siliarians hadn't gone to war, nature would have had time to recover by the time the first humans appeared on the planet. But as you know, history took a different turn. The Siliarians destroyed each other and eventually lost the opportunity to become the dominant species on Earth. Evidence of the existence of the Siliarians. Is there any evidence that the Siliarians really existed on Earth? To answer this question, scientists conducted many studies and came to the following conclusions. First, they discovered ancient cave paintings depicting unknown creatures. Judging by the drawings, the Siliarians looked like humanoid beings with large eyes and thin bodies. Secondly, some researchers found traces of silicon tools in the soil. Interestingly, these tools cannot be distinguished from those made by modern humans. And thirdly, the Bible says that the Antediluvians once lived on Earth. The Antediluvians are described as giants who possessed superhuman strength. Scientists tend to think that it was precisely the Siliarians who were the Antediluvians. In general, many biblical stories may contain descriptions of real historical events. It just seems to us that these are fairy tales, but in reality they can tell us about the civilizations that existed before the Great Flood. One way or another, but the Siliarians were the first intelligent beings on the planet. They lived on Earth at a time when the planet was still recovering from the effects of a meteorite impact. And although they managed to change the climate and make the planet a little warmer, they didn't succeed in completely restoring nature. This, in turn, led to the fact that the Siliarians themselves became extinct. Most likely they simply had nothing to breathe, since the oxygen content in the atmosphere decreased significantly during the Ice Age. However, in the near future, humanity will face a similar problem. By the year 2045, the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will increase so much that breathing on the planet will become very difficult. Our lungs simply won't be able to get enough oxygen. So maybe the Siliarians knew this would happen, and that's why they decided to flee to Antarctica, or to the hollow core of the Earth. What happened to the Siliarians? We may never know what ultimately happened to the Siliarians. Perhaps some of them really moved to other planets, or are still hiding somewhere on Earth, trying to stay away from prying eyes. After all, even modern people are not immune to making another civilization extinct. A vivid example is the indigenous people of Australia, who suffered greatly due to the arrival of Europeans. Whole tribes of these poor people were exterminated. Moreover, the Europeans practically did not have to make great efforts to achieve this. The indigenous Australians had no weapons that could compete with firearms. Not to mention the fact that Europeans quickly brought diseases to the continent that the local population had no immunity against. It should also be noted that modern humans appeared on the planet only about 300,000 years ago. That means, for 70 million years, there was no one on Earth except the Siliarians. And that raises the question, why did they destroy the planet so much? After all, it was they who caused the Ice Age and polluted the oceans. Even now, scientists struggle for decades to clean up the mess the humans made. And what could the Siliarians have been doing for 70 million years? One gets goosebumps even thinking about it. But these are just theories. In reality, everything could have happened completely differently. For example, perhaps the Siliarians really had anti-gravity devices and left our planet long before the first aliens arrived. Or maybe they really moved to the hollow core of the Earth, which has recently been confirmed by NASA. In general, scientists have far more questions than answers. But one thing is clear, the Siliarians weren't humans, because according to some reports, they coexisted with dinosaurs, and some of them even rode dinosaurs into battle. We'll have to wait a long time to find out the truth about this mysterious civilization. Write in the comments below what you think the fate of the Siliarians could have been. Also check out other videos about ancient civilizations. See you later.